Hey guys. All right. So I recently watched Fantastic Four: The First Steps. Um, yeah. So look, let me give you a little background story on me. I am a Disney adult, not to a crazy degree. No offense. Um, but I do enjoy the Disney. I'm not gonna get into anything else. So, yes, I am a Disney person. I like Disney movies. I like going to Disneyland. I'm very familiar with Disney things. So, um, I had no intention of watching this film. Um, I only watched it because my new future co-host watched it, and I was just curious to see what she thought about it. So I was like, let me go watch it. So Mom and I went to the theater, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, I ended up loving it. And I was very surprised that I ended up loving it. But then I slowly just started to realize why I do love it. um, but yeah, let's backtrack. So, Fantastic Four has not had the greatest reputation of being quality films, especially, from back in the day when it was, owned by Fox and whatnot. Now that it's owned by Disney, there's a new spin to it. But yeah, I'm not a fan of any of the old Fantastic Fours. I don't think I ever fully watched the newest one before this with like Michael B. Jordan and stuff, which I think was more of like being on the serious side with, at that time, serious, superhero movies were the thing. They still kind of are, but anywho, yeah, I'm not a fan of any of them, but I am a fan of this one. And yeah. So, Fantastic Four: First Steps. Director Matt Shackman? Don't know, not good with names. Writer Eric Pearson, Josh Friedman, and there's somebody else that I did not write down. Actors: Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as the Invisible Woman. Is it Ebon or is it Eben? Eben, we're gonna go with that. As Ben Grimm. I put that instead of the Thing because I feel like that's such a mean name. But anyways, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, Julia Garner as Silver Surfer, and Natasha Lyonne. I think her character's name is Rachel. I just put Natasha Lyonne because she's Natasha Lyonne. Dude, when I saw that, I didn't even know she was in the movie. And when I saw her, I was like, I was taken aback. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and that one part where Brandon Routh's character hits Knives Chow and knocks the highlights out of her hair, and then the friend is like trying to help her and stuff, and he's all crying. He's like, he knocked the highlights out of her hair. That's how I felt when I saw Natasha Lyonne with straight hair and no curls. I was like, oh no, they knocked the curls out of her hair. But anyways, I digress. So, set against the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s inspired retro futuristic world. Keep that in mind. The film follows Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm as they face their most daunting challenge yet. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, they must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus. Oh, I don't know that name. Anyways, and his enigmatic Harold? Silver Surfer? You know what? I thought it cut out on me. Anywho, yeah. So Silver Surfer, Julia Garner. And if Galactus' plan to devour the entire planet and everyone on it weren't bad enough, it suddenly gets very personal. Spoiler alert. I'm going to give you a second. There's a baby, okay? They have a baby. The baby has superpowers, okay? I don't really feel like that's the biggest spoiler in the world, but spoiler. It's also an important thing to remember as I go through this. So, as I was saying, I was watching the movie, surprised I was loving it, and then I slowly realized why. It's because it's just a copy and paste of The Incredibles. Think about it. If you've seen this movie and you've seen The Incredibles and you've been to Disneyland and been to Tomorrowland, you'll see all the connections are connecting, right? You have it set in the 1960s, specifically in a retro futuristic world, which is Tomorrowland, which is The Incredibles. The Incredibles is also set in the 1960s in a retro futuristic world. Now, in the Fantastic Four movie, they go very heavy on this theme of family. And of course, in The Incredibles, they're a family. They're a superhero family wearing matching costumes. Fantastic Four. They feel like a family. They are a family. They wear matching costumes. You have somebody who is elastic. You have speed. You have strength. You have force fields and kinetic energy going on. It's all there. You have the baby with superpowers. And just, again, all set in this very specific time period and theme, which I am a sucker for every time because I'm very old school in that sense, and I love 50s, 60s themed movies, attire, vibe. I love all of that. So it already had me just off of that alone. But then when I just started like connecting all these things, I'm like, they said, you know what? Let's go with what works. Everybody loves The Incredibles. Let's turn this into a basically live action Incredibles. I felt like I was watching live action Incredibles and I was enjoying it. I love The Incredibles. But I'm just like, all the way down to, dude, first thing that got me, very beginning, there's a mole man in Fantastic Four. And then if you remember The Incredibles, you have the Underminer. Like, come on, dude. I'm not crazy. It is completely, it's copy-paste, and that's why it's good, because The Incredibles is good. You're going with a formula that you know works. And I would bet money that was the goal, because it just feels too much like The Incredibles to me. You know what I'm saying? So that is my theory on that. This movie is doing so well right now because it's based off of what we already like, you know? And then I was just all into it. I loved it. This is the only Fantastic Four movie that I like. It was great. It had that theme that I like. I liked that they incorporated the fact that there's a cartoon, and it just had a cool vibe. I liked what they picked and chose with what was going to be futuristic versus more old school manual type things, you know? I don't know. I thought it was cool. But I wrote down some trivia that I thought was interesting, but you can only take IMDb trivia with a grain of salt. So, anywho, All key actors from the first Fantastic Four movie have cameos, including Alex Hyde White, Jay Underwood, Rebecca Staub, and Michael Bailey Smith. So these are actors from the original Fantastic Four movie. So like I think that was like, was that the 70s? I don't know. Not one that I've seen. I didn't even know that existed until I was doing the research right now. But I thought that was a cool little tidbit. And then also throughout the movie, signs can be seen for a company called Timely Comics. This was actually the original name of Marvel Comics, which I didn't know that. Also thought that was cool. Pedro Pascal studied an octopus to get an idea of how to convincingly display Mr. Fantastic's elastic limbs. I wrote that down because I thought that was kind of silly because they hardly show him being elastic, which I kind of had an issue with. Like, I just don't feel like he really used his powers as much as he could have. Like, there was this part at the end where he's holding the baby and like rushing over to Sue, but he like runs. It's like, you can stretch out your legs. You could just like stretch out your legs and do 2 steps and be over to her already. Like, this is a crisis and you're like running with the baby in your arms when you could just go boop, boop. I don't know. That's just me. Joseph Quinn was a fan of Chris Evans' portrayal of the character in Tim Story's Fantastic Four 2005 and the following one in 2007, but did not base his own portrayal on Evans' version, which I'm glad. I liked this portrayal of Johnny because it wasn't all boastful, cocky, jock type shit. Like, I think that's boring. I liked that he was just a dude. He wasn't overly anything. There wasn't this whole like giant ego thing going on. He was just a dude who can admit that he's a ladies' man and he's just helping his family. It wasn't this whole thing that Chris Evans brought to it, which I don't blame that on Chris Evans. I think that's just how the character is supposed to be, or I don't know, but I'm more of a fan of this. Everything was softer. It wasn't punching you in the face with strong characters. Everyone was neutral and just getting along, which I liked. Also, Lakeith Stanfield lost the role of the Silver Surfer to Julia Garner, which I thought was random. But, you know, I could go either way. I liked her portrayal of the Silver Surfer, but I'm also a huge Lakeith Stanfield fan, and I would have loved that. Also, with that, okay, I know this is reaching a little bit, but Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer can also be similar to, what's the henchman or henchwoman's name in The Incredibles? You know, the villain has his, you know, partner in crime, which is a woman, and it's very similar in this, even though, yeah, the Silver Surfer's character isn't really doing it for the same reasons as in The Incredibles. It's still something to compare. But yeah, last trivia: Amanda Seyfried, Bryce Dallas Howard, Margot Robbie, Emma Stone, Megan Fox, Brooklyn Decker, and Kristen Bell supposedly were all considered for the role of Sue Storm. I personally cannot picture any of these people as Sue. Everyone's too much one-sided of something. You know what I'm saying? Like, Margot Robbie can be versatile, but also when you think of Margot Robbie, you think one thing. Just like when you think of Kristen Bell, you think one thing. Like, it's cute, uppity, right? I ran out of storage. But yeah, I was gonna say Amanda Seyfried and Bryce Dallas Howard. I can't see them in that role at all. I think it just all worked out how it was supposed to. It was just those would have been too dynamic of choices one way or the other. Like I said, I like that everything was like neutral. Ooh, that's gonna be noisy. Anyways, I'm gonna end this here because I don't want the rest of this video to be here. But anywho, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about my comparison. I'm very curious. But yeah, let me know if you enjoyed it or not. Or definitely check it out. It's worth watching. But yes, thank you again. I'll see you next time. Take care.